back to Epicus Gamicus Musicus here for another episode of Anything Goes. This is the sequel to the Vocalist episode. This is Vocalists by character instead of by skill, so should be fun. And I'm going first. My 10th pick is Ray Davies from the Kinks.
It's a good choice there, honestly. Like, he does have a very distinct voice.
Yeah. I mean, the Kinks are kind of like the prototype Britpop band.
Yeah.
Like they are very English sounding.
They really do.
Especially in the vocals. And for each track, we're going to have a sample song. I picked Waterloo Sunset by the Kinks for Ray Davies here.
It's a pretty good one for him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to choose from with the Kinks.
That's true.
Although you probably wouldn't use You Really Got Me, because that's not...
It's more of just a yelled song.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You got to pick one of the slower ones. Yeah, because I think there's kind of like a... There's Kinks in the 60s, and then in the 70s is a bunch of punk bands that sound British, and then the 90s is a bunch of Britpop bands that like to sound British, and now I guess we have hip hop that likes to sound British. It's like it just continues on. So who's your number 10?
All right, my number 10 is Donovan Leitch, known by his stage name Donovan.
Nice.
Bit of an interesting choice here, but I'm not sure how I would describe his voice, honestly.
I'm not that familiar with it.
Another British pop artist there.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely more pop, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Although you say it's an interesting choice, but I mean, that's sort of the point, so...
I guess that is, yeah.
And it says here the track you picked was Sunshine Superman.
I did. Yeah. It's very interesting lyrics, too. It's kind of a weird song.
Okay. Maybe we got to do top 10 lyricists one day.
Yeah, that's a good point. We should do that.
Okay, so my number 9 is Andrew Stockdale from Wolf Mother. And track I picked is Colossal. You ever heard Wolf Mother?
I don't think I have, no.
Very interesting band. I'm not really sure how to describe them. They're kind of... they're Australian sort of alt rock, but they're...
You had me at Australian.
Yeah. But they're kind of... they are alternative, but they're also pretty traditional. They're just rock band, you know?
Got you, yeah.
Stockdale's voice really makes it interesting. He's got sort of a high voice, but it's kind of hard to describe, but it's definitely something you should check out.
Got you.
Your number 9?
My number 9 is Janis Joplin.
Not surprised.
Definitely. You got like... my sample song here is Summertime Blues. And it's a perfect song for her because you can really hear like her kind of just...
Is that one with a good scream
like
in it?
Scream, yeah, exactly.
Because the interesting thing about Janis Joplin is if she tried, she probably could have been a good singer, but she didn't, so...
It's kind of like... I think if she had had a normal voice, she wouldn't have gotten as big as she did.
Yeah. Well, she wouldn't have tried if she tried that hard with a bad voice, then it wouldn't work, would it? But
that's true.
She has a good voice, and she didn't train it, so it sounds kind of unique sound.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 8, in relation to Ray Davies, is Paul Weller from The Jam, which is pretty much the next band in that cycle. The track I picked is Going Underground. If you haven't heard The Jam, they're kind of like punk, but maybe poppier. They were the weird ones because they used to wear suits. So they were kind of more, is Mod C? I guess the Revival Mod. They're sort of the people who used to listen to The Who and the Kinks and all that, and they just sort of did it again in the 70s, but to fit in with everybody else. Yeah, I think they're an early new wave band. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. but they still are a punk band, sort of.
Gotcha.
So
It's
you're
a very fine line there.
yeah, you're number 8.
All right, my number 8 is Bruce Springsteen.
The Boss.
Oh yeah. She was born in the USA for my sample song, and it's kind of like you can hear his characteristic kind of a growl that he does.
Yeah, that's sort of.
Just kind of.
I like to think of Bruce Springsteen as like almost like New England country.
Yeah,
'Cause
I could hear that.
He's the heart.
Yeah.
He's the king of Heartland rock. It's kind of like country wouldn't really make much sense up there. It just sounds southern, but
Yeah.
up there it sounds like that's where it belongs. It belongs in
Right.
New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is probably why Bruce Springsteen isn't as popular as he could be in Texas.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Compared to a country artist, he's kind of
Right.
not really that well known, which is a shame. Anything more to say about Springsteen?
I think that's about it for Springsteen.
Okay. So my number 7 is Damon Albarn from Blur, our
Nice.
third era British sounding artist. The song I picked is For Tomorrow by Blur. I should also point out he's also the singer in Gorillaz, which most people probably don't realize because Gorillaz is a fictional weird entity thing. The guy who plays the lead singer in Blur in Gorillaz.
You won't get to see him sing it,
Yeah.
but
I always wonder with Gorillaz, do they just not bother to go on tour? They just like push play and that's the show. We don't even know the show up. But yeah, I really love Damon Albarn. He definitely has that British sound, and he kind of had an interesting lyricism to him about seeing the UK be Americanized with like McDonald's and KFC and all
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and he felt kind of alienated in his own country. So it's kind of an interesting perspective there. What's your next one?
All right, switching gears pretty hard here. I've got Willie Nelson.
You're really going for the Texas artist today, aren't you?
I guess I am. Yeah. Well, yeah, I am. All right, my sample song here is Whiskey River. He's kind of got like. I would almost compare him to Janis Joplin in that he kind of whines a bit when he sings.
Yeah.
It's kind of more of like it's like his voice is cracking, like every other word,
Yeah.
kind of.
And you get
And
a
he
lot of
just kind
character
of
from that.
drags it out a bit.
Of course, they're both also claimed as Austin artists, even though that's not true.
That's true, yeah.
Because Austin doesn't have any nice artists, so it just has to steal other
They
people's.
just collect them.
Yeah. Okay. So my number 6 is Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys. Hardcore punk band. Well, I guess they're kind of somewhere in between classic punk and hardcore. They're sort of in that mid space. His vocal style was definitely unique. Quite hard to describe. The song I used was Holiday in Cambodia. And, of course, Dead Kennedys also have really interesting lyrics about, they're almost, like they sound really offensive, but they're just sort of making fun of people. Like they have this song, California Uber Alice, where they're like, I think it was Jerry Brown they're making fun of, and like, he's going to turn it into a dictatorship.
Wow.
It's pretty funny.
That's great.
But they have some pretty dark lyrics. I mean, they have one of their songs is called "Kill the Poor." Which is,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I mean, now obviously they don't mean it. They're I guess commenting on
Stuff.
social stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
You get some bands you have to know the context. It's like if they say that, they don't mean it literally.
Yeah, you can't just, yeah.
They're singing in the character of the people that they're commenting on.
That's like Peace Sells, Megadeth, you know?
Yeah. Is it? Oh, I guess
mean,
the piece.
kind of is in a way that it's like critiquing the sponsorship of the killing or whatever.
Yeah. So, yeah, what's your next one?
My next one is Tom Petty.
Nice.
Sample song is Into the Great Wide Open. I chose that song because, like, a lot of his songs are kind of, I guess you could say, sung more than this one. Where in this song, he kind of just talks and then sings occasionally.
Okay.
So you can kind of, like, hear his voice more, I would say. And it's kind of like, I've heard him described as having a southern accent, but I can kind of hear it.
It's a
But at the same
maybe
time,
it's a Midwest
it's just
accent.
kind of nasally, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, and the great thing about Neil Young is, or not Neil Young,
Tom Petty.
Tom Petty. We'll talk about Neil Young later. Tom Petty, he talks the same way he sings,
Yeah, exactly.
and he's got that great unique voice.
He really does.
Okay. My number 5 is Christopher Bowes from Ailstorm,
Storm. Oh man.
and the song I picked is Keel Hauled. And if you haven't heard Ailstorm, they are pirate power metal.
It's a blast.
Yeah, and they're Scottish. So he's got a Scottish accent, and they got it perfect. And they've got like music that you can do jigs to and shit, and accordions all over the place. And actually, Christopher Bowes plays the guitar, so
Man.
it's entertaining. Although it'd be more impressive if he actually played an accordion,
That's true.
because most of the time he's just playing a digital accordion. But yeah, Ailstorm are definitely a fun band. Actually got tickets to see them in a few months, so
Awesome.
that should be fun.
Man.
The only concert where beer is not optional.
That's a very good point. I mean, you just got to.
Yeah, you can't not, because like the certain songs you'd be in, and you'd need a beer because
It's like it's Ailstorm.
Yeah,
You've
I mean-
got to.
they have a song called Drink, and the line goes, "We are here to steal your beer."
Oh man.
Yeah, great band. Very interesting singer.
Definitely.
So you're number 5?
All right. My number 5 is David Bowie.
Well, he has to be on the list somewhere, doesn't he?
Of course. Yeah. And I think honestly this song goes the best with his voice. My sample song for him is Space Oddity.
Yeah. Ground control to Major Tom.
And it's
And
like
all that.
all of his singing, this seems like it's kind of like not really like you're recording him directly, but like he's in another room or somewhere and he's trying to sing through the walls at you. So I just kind of thought this went along pretty great with that.
Yeah.
So because it's like, it sounds like he is out in space trying to talk down through the microphone or whatever.
Yeah. Of course, the surprising thing about this song is it didn't actually break him.
Right, yeah.
Like, there's just a novelty hit, and then people like forgot about him
Right.
until as Ziggy Stardust came out. Yeah, David Bowie is a good one, especially if you listen to the Queen collaboration, Under Pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like you try to
I
sing
mean,
that song.
the Bowie part's the only part I can sing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
You're doing the Bowie part. It's like, oh no, Freddie Mercury's on. I can't do that
I
part.
can't hit that at all. No.
Of course, Freddie Mercury was on the last episode, so got them both covered. Okay, number 4, Pete Shelley from Buzzcocks. Song I used is "What Do I Get." Yeah, Pete Shelley's got an interesting. He's got kind of a childish sounding voice.
I could hear that. Yeah.
A little bit high. But they don't really have they're I think they're a northern band, but they don't really have a northern accent that much. Because Pete Shelley has his weird,
Yeah.
almost like it's almost soft spoken. I don't know. His very interesting voice. But yeah, Buzzcock, a lot of fun. It's a punk description. It's very short.
That's a good point.
So you're number 4?
All right. My number 4 is Neil Young.
Again, kind of have to.
Got really northern here. from
Yeah.
Canada and all.
Not that they sound it.
Yeah. And you got my sample song here is Heart of Gold.
That's a good one.
And he's another artist that kind of has a bit of a whine to his singing.
Yeah, I'm noticing a trend with your ears here.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I didn't notice that until you mentioned it, but yeah, I really do. It's kind of like I've always thought it's interesting that he plays the harmonica the way he does because it sounds almost like that when he sings.
Yeah, that's like complimenting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neil Young is a good. It's probably a good starting point for like going into southern rock
From like just
normal rock because he can be heavy, but he can be light at the same time.
yeah.
Yeah, I like Neil Young's voice. It's very entertaining.
Yeah, it is.
What were the bands he was in again?
He was in Buffalo Springfield for a while, and he was in Crosby, Stills and Nash
And sometimes
on and off. And then
that's why I call it. And sometimes Young.
I want to say he was just solo for everything else.
He's
did.
mostly solo. Okay. Let's see. My number 3 is Joachim Broden from Sabaton. Another power metal band. Sabaton are kind of like the lone war metal band. I mean, I guess maybe you could consider Manowar a war metal band, but yeah, Sabaton. All their songs, well, most of their songs are about historical battles. So it's a metal show, but it's also a history lesson.
Well,
Still waiting for them to do a song about the Alamo, though.
the more you know.
Yeah. And they even did a whole album about the Swedish Empire.
Wow.
They did it in English and in Swedish, so that's kind of interesting. The song I picked is Wolfpack, which is about U-boats in World War II. And the clever thing about this song is they actually managed to get U-boat designation numbers into the song.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's very specific, and it actually does work. It's kind of hard to remember the lyrics.
Yeah.
It does actually sound right.
That's
Yeah.
it's a lot of numbers to remember.
Yeah. So you're number 3?
All right, my number 3 is Cindy Wilson from the B-52s. Sample song is "Dance This Mess Around."
Is this your first new wave band?
I think it is.
Although
That's actually really surprising. I didn't realize that, but this is.
You probably could argue
I
that
think
David.
this is my only new wave band here.
Yeah. I mean, you can argue that David Bowie was new wave at one
But
point.
he was kind of before his time with that. It's kind of like. To be honest, it's just a weird sounding band.
Yeah.
But I think she really adds to it with like she just kind of yells, honestly. Like
I mean, that's part of the punk ethos that watered down into new wave.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how well you can sing. Just try and you'll be fine. If it works, it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my number 2 is Till Lindemann from Rammstein. Song I picked is Du hast. Yeah. Rammstein are probably one of the most successful foreign language bands. I can't think of any other bands that are that.
I think you're right.
They're that popular with people who don't speak that language.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably some, Spanish artists that are pretty popular.
That's
probably mostly with people who actually speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Rammstein somehow managed to get really popular without speaking English. Although they occasionally they do have one song they speak English in called America, which is kind of an interesting sentiment because it's like everywhere's starting to look like America now.
Oh yeah.
Again, the McDonald's and the KFC and the whatever, and Starbucks
KFC.
and everything. I use KFC as an example because it's
So,
very popular outside the
I
United
do
States.
not understand. So I went over there, I think it was summer after my sophomore year of high school. And I don't get what the deal is with England and KFC. Like I don't know
they
why
like fried
that
chicken, man.
connects.
I mean, it's also popular in China. Like, somehow it just works.
Like, yeah.
Um, I don't know how to describe Till Lindemann. He kind of has a deep voice, I guess. Kind of a very scary voice. Perfect for an
I
industrial.
was about to say that's
metal band.
It's really German, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely take the scariness that you can get from German and
Yeah.
run with it. I always wonder is it only because of the world wars that we think Germans sound scary, or
I don't know.
would they sound scary if they
I
were
think
really?
they would have been at least moderately scary without the world wars.
I mean, if they were like Sweden, would they sound so intimidating? Anyway, your number 2.
All right, my number 2 is Dave Matthews. I would try to imitate him, but I just can't.
That would be.
I'm a little bit hoarse today because I just got off a shift at Whataburger, and I was hoping I would have enough strength to do my Dave Matthews impression, but I can't handle it right now.
It's too hard. Can't do it.
And all right, my sample song for him is "Crash Into Me," which is actually one of my favorite songs from him. But Jimmy Fallon does a really good Dave Matthews impression. He does. It's unreal.
That's something to look up.
Yeah. Actually, he does an impression of 2 of my other vocalists here. He does a really good Neil Young and a really good Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
So.
Well, some of those artists they're just so similar that if you could
Yeah.
do one, you'd probably be able to do
That's
the other.
true. That's a good point.
I mean, I'm quite happy with my David Bowie impression. Yeah. Somehow I find him kind of easy to do. So that's time for honorable mentions, I think.
I don't think we did our number 1, did we?
No, we do honorable mentions before number 1.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I have Johnny Lydon, or Johnny Rotten, from the Sex Pistols and Public Image Limited.
Nice.
Obviously, if you've heard the Sex Pistols, you know that it's very unique singing. He describes it as anti-singing.
I could hear that. Yeah.
And then in Public Image, he just sort of screams. So.
It's just anarchy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anarchy in the UK.
It's an interesting transition because the next artist is Dave Mustaine, who once covered Anarchy in the UK. The Dave Mustaine, obviously from Megadeth, very unique style.
Yeah.
It's like you could probably draw a couple similarities between him and Bowie.
I could see that. Yeah.
He's kind of like a heavy metal Bowie.
Which is an interesting thought, but.
Yeah. So who are your honorable mentions?
All right, my first honorable mention is Steven Tyler, because I don't think he's got that different of a voice, but you've got to add him in just for his
screaming.
Yeah. There's an awful lot of screaming and just whining and moaning on this list. I did not realize that when I put all this down. But yeah, my sample song for him is "Dream On," which is probably his classic.
Yeah, classic Aerosmith right there.
And then my other honorable mention is Axl Rose. I can't do it right now.
I don't even want to try.
It's too much, man. But yeah, that was my attempt to sing part of "Welcome to the Jungle."
Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to the jungle.
Some of those songs I sing it in my head, but I know I
just
can't hit
would
that
not
note,
ever
so
attempt to do that.
just
Yeah.
So I sort of sing it like under my breath, And it's just because I know I'd never hit that note. It's not gonna
I
work.
like turn the volume way up and then sing anyway. And then
So
just
nobody
hope
can hear it?
nobody can hear me
Yeah.
over my speakers.
And then of course Axl Rose is currently the singer for AC/DC, which is weird.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that they like. Who are we gonna get? Let's get Axl Rose. That'll work. Ridiculous.
I like the picture they just had like a giant it's like a giant spinning wheel. And then just spun it and see who it wound up on.
Yeah, because like the people they could have had. There's an Australian band called Airborne who basically sound like AC/DC on steroids, so they could have just got that guy. There were some really good AC/DC tributes in Texas. They could have used one of their singers, and I think actually one of them, coincidentally, are actually playing in San Antonio tomorrow. A band called Back in Black. The vocalist I think actually was supposed to audition for AC/DC, and he sounds exactly like Brian Johnson, so he would have been the perfect choice. But no, we're just gonna get Axl Rose. No reason at all. Okay, rant over. My number one is Ian Curtis from Joy Division. My hipster choice there.
Yeah.
Song I picked is Transmission. Killer track. Yeah, if you don't know anything about Joy Division, Ian Curtis, they recorded like an EP, a bunch of singles, and 2 albums before he committed suicide in 1980. So really didn't get much of him at all.
That's true. Yeah.
So one of the tragedies of
Yeah.
music. And then the band that was Joy Division became New Order, and then that turned into what it became. And
Turned into what it became.
one of the first EDM artists.
That's a nice way to put that.
Which would have been interesting if they had done the same songs with Ian Curtis singing.
That would have been
It
cool,
would
actually.
very strange.
Yeah.
They probably, to be honest, they probably wouldn't even be that popular, mainstream wise.
I could see that.
Joy Division are pretty popular in the underground, but mainstream they didn't have any major hits. Unlike New Order, who had a couple.
That's true.
But yeah, Ian Curtis has a very strange voice. He's not your traditional punk singer.
Yeah.
He's I mean, they're kind of the first
Post-punk, yeah.
band. I like the way I heard describe it. Normal punk is fuck you. Post-punk is we're fucked.
Dude, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing there. So you're number one?
All right, my number one is Bob Dylan.
He's got to be in there.
Sample song is Mr. Tambourine Man.
Yeah.
I can't remember who said it once, but some singer talking about how they wanted to sing as a rock artist, but thought they had no chance until they heard Dylan sing.
Yeah.
So apparently now anybody can do it.
Yeah. Was that the case with Jimi Hendrix, or was that?
It might have been.
Oh no, that might have been Little Richard actually.
I can't remember, honestly.
Somebody. Yeah.
But it's just went out there and did it.
Yeah. Bob Dylan's a very love-or-hate artist. A lot of people don't
That's
like
true.
him.
Yeah.
There are some people who like him as a poet, but not as a singer,
Right. Yeah.
which I find very strange. Like, he's Bob Dylan. He sounds great.
I mean, like, you can kind of see it with like how much he gets covered too. Like.
Yeah. I mean, All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Blew the Bob Dylan version out of the water.
It's funny because Bob Dylan, at least from what I've heard, doesn't play All Along the Watchtower acoustic anymore.
He's got to play it.
He only plays it electric because of Hendrix.
Full of Hendrix.
Like, because nobody would want to hear acoustic All Along the Watchtower anymore.
Yeah. Bob Dylan wasn't in any bands, was he?
I don't think he was, actually. No.
But yeah, he definitely has that unique voice. Sort of a, I don't know what, I mean, he's a folk artist, but
It's kind of a
I don't know what region.
yeah.
Because he's from, isn't he from Minnesota? Or something
I
like
think
that?
he is. Yeah, Minnesota.
Somewhere up to north.
And I mean, I can kind of hear that accent just a little bit, but it is kind of just his own thing, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's when you go your own direction, you end up better than if you just copy people.
Right.
It doesn't, like, if you copy somebody, you just sound like everybody else, and then
Harder to get remembered that way.
yeah. And the interesting thing about your list is you kind of pick the artists who are all similar, like Bob Dylan and Neil Young are pretty similar artists, but their vocals sound very different because they're very unique artists.
Right. Yeah.
They're not copying somebody; they're just singing the way they sing. Yeah. Well, I guess we're done.
All right.
It's been a fun episode. You guys learn about some unique artists you can go and check out. And we'll see you next time for whatever else we come up with.